Welcome back to Book Club Preview. I'm Michael, and today we're looking at the Graveyard Book, Chapter 3, The Hounds of God. This chapter starts off with just a quick little information bit about ghoul gates, and how in every graveyard there's one grave or tomb that looks really ugly and broken, and that is the ghoul gate, where ghouls get to come and go out of. And then we go to our story, which is Bod being angry. Why is Bod angry? Because Silas is leaving. And Bod doesn't want Silas to leave because Silas is a real, kind of foundation, parental figure in his life. And then he sees, some lady. And she's not a very pretty lady. But Silas introduces her as Miss Lupesco. Miss Lupesco, she inspects Bod. And she says, "You are a boy." And Bod says, "My name is Bod." She says, "Yes, it is a nickname short for nobody. I do not approve." And she brings him good food. "This will make you strong." But when Bod eats it, it does not taste good. And part of the problem is Silas always brought Bod food from a bag. Food from a convenience store. And Miss Lupesco brings him like fresh cooked food. So Bod's never had food like this. And it's also like really healthy and old-fashioned style food. And Bod, it just tastes terrible. But it's Bod ends up studying with Miss Lupesco. He doesn't like the lessons. He has to memorize all these things. He has to learn how to say help in French, in Night Gaunt, in I don't know what else, demon, all these different languages. So one day after lessons, he runs off and he's feeling really sorry for himself. My life is terrible. I'm so hungry. The food is terrible. I miss Silas. No one wants to play with me. And he ends up falling asleep outside by a grave. And then it switches over to some new characters. We have these three people. The Duke of Winchester, the Bishop of Westminster or something, and the Honorable someone else. Okay? And even though these guys have really good titles and they call each other "Your Worship" or "Your Majesty" or "My Lord," kind of things like that, sounds pretty, these guys must be pretty important. But when they're talking to each other, they're using really kind of low-level British English. Starts talking about his life and how terrible it is. And so they say, "Man, that's awful. Why don't you come with us, man? It's like an adventure every day. We get the best food. It's a wonderful life. You should come join us and, come visit us and go on an adventure." And Bod says, "That sounds great. Let's go." And so they use this strange language and they open up this door and they throw Bod down the hole. Woo! And they jump in after him and they close the gate and he comes out into a new world. And they're traveling around in this world. And I say traveling around, the ghouls are running and swinging and they're just throwing Bod and they're catching Bod and throwing Bod and catching Bod and throwing Bod while they're swinging around. And it's not a really good trip for Bod. Kind of looking around everywhere. Now, at nighttime, they're going to sleep and they're talking about how great their life is and all the things they've seen and eaten. And that's how they get their names. The first thing they eat is where they get their name. So, then at nighttime, they hear this howl far off in the distance. What is that? Which, if you pay attention, you learn that ghouls seem to be afraid of dogs or wolves, things like that. And so they're running off, trying to escape this howling sound, which keeps getting closer, keeps getting louder. And the Night Gaunts are coming around. Bod got thrown into a bag, so he's been traveling by bag this whole time, getting bumped around and getting hit with wood and things. But he makes this little hole, and he can see this huge dog chasing the ghouls. It could be a dog, it could be a wolf. And so Bod's like, "Man, I either need to become a ghoul and go to Ghoulheim, or break out of this bag and get eaten by this monster. Well, before Bod can choose, the monster grabs part of the bag and he falls out. Oh, Bod, why? Or something like that. And he realizes that dog beast was Miss Lupesco. Miss Lupesco says, get on my back, let's go home. And he learns that Miss Lupesco is one of the hounds of God. So they get back to the graveyard, a pretty cool adventure. Bod picks up this list and he reads, those that men called werewolves or lycanthropes call themselves the hounds of God, as they claim their transformation is a gift from their creator, and they repay the gift with their tenacity, for they will pursue an evildoer to the very gates of hell. And Bod thinks, wow, they'll even pursue foolish little boys to the gates of Ghoulheim. And Miss Lupesco is one of the hounds of God. And Silas returns, and he's like, how are things? What's been going on? And they're like, man, everything's been great. And Miss Lupesco says, you know what? I think I might come back next year and teach Bod again. Bod, would you like that? And Bod says, yes, I would like it if you return, Miss Lupesco. And that is how the chapter ends.